the staple of the skateboard shop. And the Sims Stratoglass. That's actually Tom Sims. And I was so blessed to get this about a week ago, and it's in perfect condition. 1976 technology with ball bearings and Sims wheels before they put anything on them. All the wheels that I rode from Sims never had any markings on them because we got prototypes. And this board was $29.95, and we sold God knows how many. But I will tell you, the number 3145 will always stick in my head because sales tax was 5% back then. So I'm surprised that I don't use 3145 for all my PIN codes because I can't get that number out of my head.
So if you want to rob Al Coker.
It's not my PIN code, really, honestly. So again, rode these Z-Flexes, taper kicks. I have a picture of me riding this board on some janky ramp. The same ramp that I have a picture of Mad Dog skating in a tuxedo, which I don't even know why he was wearing a white tuxedo. Like Tony Orlando and Dawn or something. Here's Mad Dog, of course, safety skating with a cast.
Safety skating.
And then this board, I have to point this out, and I know we're running short on time, but the Bonsai, the switchblade of boards, because these things are aluminum, and when they would get hit and used, this became a lethal weapon. But look at this, a double kicktail.
Man,
exactly what we're doing today, right? 1976, and we just thought, and we were right. I loved finding this because there's the ad from Skateboarder magazine.
Oh, nice.
And Hang 10 was a big surfwear. Little feet that were seminal. We actually brought Hang 10 and Ocean Pacific, which was another big surfwear, to Dallas that didn't exist here in Dallas. And then, of course, we were carrying it, and then the department stores started carrying it, which then made it uncool. So, and you know, like I said, here's Mad Dog on a G&S Warp Tail. This is Stacy Peralta, who probably the most successful pro ever, right? And amazing film producer. But this, the Warp Tail, they made it in 30-inch and 26-inch. The biggest selling skateboard of all time. Really? For Gordon and Smith. And then they went into the Warp Tail 2, which was the big move forward that had, you know, it was plywood versus a chunk of oak. It didn't go so well. So, you know, all of these boards, and Tony Alva was one of the first people to, number one, he was the first skater to go off and start his own brand, right? And he stayed true to that brand. But this is the first plyboard that he released. And the reason that one is like that is because the bottom graphic is gone, and this one was found underneath a house and is completely coming apart. But considering, and then this is what I'm riding that board right there. That's a Shogo Kubo Woody, Z Woody. Again, Shogo was one of the most stylish and unbelievable skateboarders. He died paddleboarding, had a heart attack.
Really?
Younger than me, but great guy. We skated with him, and he was one of the best skaters and one of the nicest people you ever skate with. Same thing with Chris Stropel from Castor. We skated with him and a lot of these people. So, you know, but again, if that Z Woody could talk, I'm sure it would have some stories to tell. The Rat Hole is a big part of Dallas's past. This was not the first pool skated, but it was our pool, and it had so many different iterations. It was buried. It was on DFW airport land, right over off Beltline and 114, which 114 wasn't even really finished. So the old house was gone, and you know they had torn it down, and we found this pool and skated it till, and you can see the coping was in amazing condition. But that pool, that was the scene. I mean, and you had to have your chops down. You had to absolutely, you know, you didn't just walk in and get to skate it. But we took Wilkes and Jeff and Craig. This is actually, that's actually Craig right there. And there's Jeff Newton. But that was the first pool that they skated. And we had a lot. I'm actually in Thrasher magazine. What if they did their 20th reunion, their 20th anniversary a number of years ago. I'm actually in there. One of those little tiny pictures skating the rat hole.
Nice.
My only national skate trip.
Really?
But again, technology, the Z-Flex, but I want to point out the giant headphones that this guy's wearing. And this was, you had to have the tube socks. If you look, everybody's wearing tube socks, right? Look at all these pictures. Tube socks, that was the uniform. This guy took it to the next degree, but the headphones are just priceless, you know. This is the high-tech steel wheels that I grew up riding initially.
Dude, I had a Nash board. You remember that?
I do.
They made boards all the way into the 90s.
Yeah.
Now, they were not exactly what they were like the boards people got from Walmart or the grocery store, and then, you know, later on, they got a real skateboard if they kept skating. And so the next big warp in improvements was clay wheels, which I rode again until they fell off and self-destructed. And then a buddy brought back some urethane wheels from California. And again, the epiphany. It was the big bang of skateboarding. And this bang is not the actual board I was on, but this is the one where I was going like 46 miles an hour and skipped off the pavement repeatedly. And then a lot of these boards, this is now we're getting into the mid-70s, like from 75 on. These are, like, that's an actual board I rode. There's a number of boards in here that, that's Bad Dog. That's a old pool that we skated. We skated anything and everything we could. Steel wheels, clay, urethane with ball bearings, which was just an improvement. And then what we're skating today, the urethane wheel. And boards kept getting, you know, glass to layers of wood to all of a sudden, man, we got the big improvement of plywood. But it was really heavy because they didn't know how many layers to use, etc. So then you started getting into boards getting even wider. So we got into all these different things to save weight. Well, basically, that's what we skate today is 7-ply. So it had this whole evolution where people were trying to make boards lighter, but what they did is they just improved the quality of the wood and the type of glues they used. And, you know, we've had innovation, but the only thing that stuck really was ply. And so that's in essence what we skate today. Boards got really narrow again, like the 60s, and now they're coming back out into, you know, more reasonable widths, I think. But again, you don't see many people riding stuff that's, you know, almost 12 inches wide, unless they got really big feet.
Shaquille O'Neal or something.
Well, Wes Humpton, one of the original guys that, you know, founders of Dogtown, you know, he's a big guy and he has gigantic feet. So hence his board, the Bigfoot, was 12 inches.
Oh.
I have one, I just don't have it out. I don't know where it is. It's around here somewhere. And then up here, what we've got are Texas. So Zorlak, about 1979, and then coming across, we've got, the top end is all Texas, this is all 80s. We've gone into the 80s. And we have, you know, Christian Hosoi, we've got Steve Olson. I mean, these people are seminal. Mike McGill, the inventor of the McTwist. You know, you got, there's just a lot of history. McGill was from Florida, just like Alan Gelfand, also from Florida. Invented ollie. And Rodney Mullen, the inventor of the Flatland ollie, who changed skateboarding.
Yeah.
Florida and Texas, I gotta tell you, hey, I've lived in both. Lived in California, but didn't, you know, didn't stick. And so my collection has been augmented by donations from a number of people, most notably Mark Dick and a couple of other guys. One guy who wants to remain anonymous, but it's pretty fun to see people getting behind this whole museum concept. And I don't know if you looked in the case, but we've got, the lunchbox. And we're looking for a Cooper helmet, which is a hockey helmet, but we used it for skateboarding. But I'm not going to pay $500 for a 70s Cooper helmet because all the hockey people are on.
Of course.
But we've got amazing, safety gear. There's some Hobie gloves, some Hobie high tops, and lots of plastics. And then kids, skateboards, how to make them, how to ride them.
That is too funny. So, you were, I know you're a big fan of TNC, because you're surfing and everything.
Yeah.
Just tell us a little bit about how they were made by...
well, Boulder Boards, out of Boulder, Colorado, of Mort and Mindy fame, Nano. And I can't remember the gentleman who was the founder. He's still alive and everything, but furniture maker, and he made these Dogtown boards, which were all about lightness and and they were very high tech and very expensive to produce. So he made Kryptonic boards like the K-beams, the Dogtowns, a lot of the Alva light beams and things like that. And then in here, Town and Country, which was and still is a surfboard manufacturer. They made all the TNC boards, and I've always had a place in my heart for Town and Country because of the whole surf and skate scene. And Town and Country means, like, town is Honolulu and country is the North Shore. So that's where that whole thing comes from.
Okay.
I always wondered about that.
And then we have one that I made that's a tribute. And that's a tribute to Martin Potter, who was a world surf champ back in the 80s. And this was from his twin fin, the Saint, shaped by Dennis Pang. So again, it's that old surfing thing that it's like a bad penny. I hope it never goes away. This is Dan Wilkes' t-shirt that Dan signed. And again, we talk about the evolution. You can see the turkey platters, and then Veriflex, which became known as the maker of a profusion of crap skateboards. But they originally were a real skateboard company. They're only ones that made trucks, wheels, and boards, and they had people like, Eddie Elguera, Eric Grisham, Alan Losey. Alan Losey's family was the founder of Veriflex. And so from that standpoint, they had amazing boards and riders, but then they decided we should make crap because we could make more money. And so, and then again, this is, you can see the width, right? But this is really at the height of my evil powers, this is what I was riding.